Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? What you are about to witness is real.
This is not a dream, but a new beginning.
Stand by for uplink.
The Don Hanston Show, straight up.
Thank you.
GPS uplink now completed with Google Earth. Commencing the official countdown in 3, 2, 1.
And now your hosts, Don and Sal.
Welcome to Straight Up, the Don Hanston Show. We're with you once again to go over some topics. We have a lot to talk about today. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. We have Letitia James on the menu today. And also a Senator Van Helen in his trip to El Salvador to try to rescue an MS-13 gang member. I know, it just doesn't stop. Welcome in, Don. How you doing today?
Hey, good morning, everybody. And it's gonna be really fun talking about these Jerry's kids running around that are supposed to be in charge of our country. So it should be a fun show.
So what we're going to start with today is Josh Shapiro is the governor of Pennsylvania. For the people out there that don't know, he was also in the running to be Kamala Harris's vice president pick, but he lost out to Tim Walz, as we know, from Minnesota. And I truly believe the reason why she didn't pick Josh Shapiro is because he's Jewish. And her whole Democrat and her whole backing was pro-Palestine, if you remember, the riots and everything. So she didn't pick Josh Shapiro. I think she might have did a little better in the numbers. I still don't think she would have won. But anyways, the news with Josh Shapiro is he had family over staying at his mansion in Pennsylvania for Passover. Well, in the middle of the night, crazy guy who's against the Jewish people, obviously pro-Palestine, busted a side window on his mansion and threw a Molotov cocktail in the house, causing substantial damage to the house. I've seen the pictures. Everybody got out okay. But the thing that gets me, and this is what I want to hear your perspective on, Don, is he did a press conference the next day denouncing this violence, denouncing this hatred toward the Jews and the violence toward political parties, and he wants it to stop. The problem I have with this is I don't remember his press conference sticking up for Elon Musk and them firebombing all his dealerships and his cars in the lot and other people on the street. Where was the outrage then? What do you think about this, Don?
Well, these people, I call them idiots, but whatever you want to call them, I don't care. They endorse it when it goes against everybody else, but when it shows up in their backyard, all of a sudden, oh my God! And it kind of goes along with the biggest complainers are also the biggest offenders, right? Yeah. The people that are bitching about everything are the ones that are huge complainers when it happens to them, when it shows up in their backyard. So the Democrats, they encouraged all of this violence. And they backed all of these criminals, and they still do. I mean, if you pay attention to any of this stuff, they want the criminals to prevail, and they really don't give a shit about the American people. But when it comes to their lives, okay, because most of these idiots, they live in gated communities, security systems. They probably have bodyguards. Who knows what they got going on, but they got a lot of protection. Yeah. But when it shows up in their backyard, all of a sudden, oh my God, what are we going to do with this?
Not one Democrat went against saying people need to stop firebombing the Tesla dealers, picking on people who drive Teslas, because the majority of them people at the time were Democrats. They were their own people. And we never heard anything from them about the violence. The violence that still goes on today. But like you said, once it's against you, then all of a sudden they have a little change of heart and they want to get out there and start talking about what's going on. And it's just amazing how hypocritical they are when they're making these statements and their actions.
This wasn't on our list of things to talk about, but it's only going to be like a 2-minute deal. I live here in Illinois, and there was huge stipend for if you put solar energy on your house, okay?
Okay.
I have a good friend of mine, works for the company. They pay for, a lot. They paid for a new roof. It was a really good deal getting into it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it's only supposed to go up 3% a year. We got a contract, everything else. Well, last year it went up 10%, right? Wow. And so I sent him a text. I'm like, dude, it's supposed to go up 3% a year at the most. What's going on? He goes, you can thank your governor, okay, J.B. Pritzker, who is one of the biggest, idiots next to Gavin Newsom, and so they push for the solar thing, right? And they make it all this great thing, but then all of a sudden they need money because the money's getting withheld from government funding because they don't want to uphold federal law, and so now the people that they were awarding. And, it's funny because people pull up and they're like, oh, you got solar? Are you a libtard? And I'm like, no, I like the benefit of it.
And I agree with you. I do too. I love alternate energy.
But they put a 10% tax on it this year. And I was like, wow. These are the people that were endorsing it and pushing it and all this other stuff. But now that they're losing money from the government because they want to let, men play in women's sports or whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna tax the people that they were saying they were gonna help. Anyways,
that is interesting.
I wanted to share
I'm glad
that.
you brought that up. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know they're expensive. I know the contracts are a little tricky and everything. I have a couple neighbors that have solar. I wish I could have it. I love solar energy, but the cost and everything and how long it takes you to pay for everything. And I didn't know that he raised it 10%. How about
10%.
that? How about that? Pushes the agenda and then punishes you for agreeing with them.
It reminds me of Marcel with his $200 stipend, and then all of a sudden they bring it back. Well, you could blame Musk and Trump, but that's a state thing.
Well, it's easy to fix. Just follow the federal law. He's the president.
Yeah.
Follow the federal.
Right.
We had to follow when a certain president opened the borders, to flood the country with illegals, hoping to get their votes. We had to follow along with that, and we're still paying the price of that. We'll trying to clean up this huge mess that he created.
That's going to take a long time. There's tens of millions of people that shouldn't be here.
I know. So we had to deal with it. We had to go along with the program. We had no choice. But they don't feel that they have to go along. Like the governor of Maine, she's not complying when she said that she would after that little debate in the White House. So now, I forget her name. She's the governor of Maine when Trump was giving the speech, and he says no women or no men in women's sports. And he says, the governor of Maine here, and she goes, yeah. And he goes, are you going to abide by that? She goes, I'm going to follow the law. And that's when he says, well, we are the law. She goes, well, I'll see you in court. And he says, good, that should be easy.
Right.
Well, she's not following along. So Pam Bondi said this morning, watching an interview with her, that they are suing the state of Maine over this, which they're going to do. Now look out, here comes these far-left judges, I bet, are going to try to put a stop to it.
Maine is suing the government. Maine is suing Trump.
Oh, they're suing Trump now?
They're suing Trump. And
because of the funds?
Yeah, so here's my take on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by her saying that we are going to allow men to play in women's sports, and he says you're going to lose your government funding, by that stupid idea, she's giving up the government funding, but yet she blames Trump for not getting it. Yeah. And then she's going to use the taxpayers' money to sue him for a frivolous lawsuit where it's her fault because she's letting men play in women's sports. So the whole thing is so hypocritical that I can't even get my arms around this stuff. It's so stupid. Like,
I don't get it.
We've
talked about this before, and I just can't wrap my head around why anyone, especially with children, would want men to play in women's sports. Now, listen, I'm not a chauvinistic person, but men are built differently than women. I don't have to say that. People know that. Men are generally stronger. And you want to know how I know this firsthand? When you take the police test.
Biology,
yeah, right. But when you take the police test, the standards for men passing the physical agility are a lot higher than the standards for women. Now, why would that be? Because men are they're stronger than women. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's still some women out there that I would not want to tangle with. Not at all. But the majority of women, they're not as strong. They don't have the upper body strength that men do. That's just a known fact. There's nothing you can do about it. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me and say no. I'm not saying everyone, but we're not built the same.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll put it in my perspective from hockey, right? Well, hockey's a little bit more civilized than it used to be, okay?
Yeah.
Let's just say you said, okay, Don, let's say 40 years ago, Don, you could play in the women's hockey league, right? 255 pounds. I could squat 1,300 pounds, and I knew how to fight, Okay, if I went out there and back then there was enforcers, there was fighters, there was all of these guys. You would go out and you would probably have to have ambulances lined up to take these women off the fucking ice. And that's what we should be doing. First of all, I'd be an asshole for doing it.
Yeah.
Second of all, anybody that would allow that is
Right.
a bigger asshole than I am. So it doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid. You know what? I don't even want to talk about this because it's so retarded.
Well, this is like everything we talk about. This is why I sit there and I grab my head and I go, I don't understand this. How are these people thinking? You know, these girls, you know, talking with someone, they said, well, you know what the girls should do? Like that girl in fencing in the competition, they should just take a knee and refuse to play. And I said, well, I understand that, but that's not fair to these girls that want to play sports as they're growing up, maybe competing for scholarships. You know,
Right.
you got that guy, that runner who finished first because he says he identifies as a female. If you look at his time, even though he finished first, if he was in the men's category where he should have been, he would have finished 46th. And you're taking the scholarship chances away from girls and everything, and they're okay with it. They like
Yeah.
it. And I just don't understand it.
It's all this stuff is to twist you up. All this reversals and all of this nonsense that they come up with. It's to get us to talk about it. It's like it's not even worthwhile, conversing about the stuff because it's so ridiculous. But this is the things that we're talking about. Meanwhile, they're stealing all our money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like. It's just a diversion is all it is. But let's get off of that subject because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Let's talk about Letitia James.
Oh, my favorite. This
I
is what
love
you call
her.
karma. And my post on Facebook, and I usually don't swear, but my post on Facebook was glass houses are a bitch. I put that on there.
My dad used to call it poetic justice.
Yep.
Okay, and so tell us the facts on Letitia James, so our listeners understand.
She, to just give you a cliff note here, there was a forensic, I forget his title, auditor. Thank you, forensic auditor, who found out that she overvalued, or was it undervalued, her house. Same thing that Trump did, that she accused Trump of, to secure a better rate for her mortgage. And she also put on there that she is married to someone to get a better rate, and that person she put down is her father. So that was a blatant lie. So all these things that she accused Trump of doing, she has now gotten caught, allegedly doing. And we have heard nothing from her. She's silent. Miss Wonderful, who came out constantly, every other day, saying that she was going after Trump. She was not going to be bullied. She was not, all of a sudden now you don't hear anything from her. So I really hope they do pursue these charges. I have a feeling Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice will do it. But it's just incredible that while she was out there chastising Trump and going after him and wanting to seize his assets for lying on the documents, which they even talked to the bank who loaned Trump the money, and they said, there's no problem. He paid it back. He paid it with interest, and that's it. Well, she had the problem when she said that the thing was a 4-bedroom or a 5-bedroom, and it's a 4-bedroom. She did the same exact thing that she's accusing Trump of, and they're silent. We don't hear any outrage. But all the Democrats were lined up accusing Trump and smearing his name for what he's a criminal. He's a convicted felon. I can't believe he did this, and we're going to vote him. People are going to vote for him. What about Letitia James? And even this morning, they said that they found out she doesn't even live in New York. To be an attorney general, you have to live in the state.
Yeah, they want to break every rule they can and then try and call people out for not following the rules. I think to bring it on a broader spectrum, and I don't understand facts like you do on all this because I don't really watch the news, but Trump got, what was it, 33, is it local convictions?
Yeah,
okay,
something like that.
And this person, Letitia, was in charge of all of this, okay? And so it was basically based on the same merits of her crime. And she's the, what is she, the justice? I don't even know what she is. Attorney General.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now she is doing this, okay? And being that she's part of the criminal side, right? The mob side of it, which is the left, okay? no, everyone's supposed to turn a blind eye, and it's so awesome to see this. And what I keep my fingers crossed, and I keep saying they need to do is they need to start prosecuting, because
Yeah,
if
I
they
would
don't
hope.
prosecute, these people will never stop doing this. These people actually need to go to prison. They need to go to prison. You're the attorney general, okay? Number one. Number two, you're going to blame somebody for something that you're blatantly doing, okay?
Political witch hunt. Yes.
Yes. So you need. I mean, I think that basically these people have to be held to higher standards. You know what I mean? And so, God, I love to see people like that put in prison. That'd be freaking awesome.
Well,
But
she said in documents to try to secure loans, she said that she's a resident of Virginia. That's where she's staying, which she's supposed to be living in New York because she's the attorney general. So she needs, plus she's an attorney, so she should probably be disbarred as well. I seen an interview with Rudy Giuliani, and he said it's just terrible what she did. She should lose her law license and not be able to continue her term as attorney general for these lies and deception that she did.
of course not. I mean, but unfortunately, the way the left plays is anyone that's criminal, okay, is the people that need to be protected. And those are the people that need to be in charge, okay? If you're honest, you try and tell the truth, you try and do good things, okay, you should be punished, and you need to be held out of the government, and so it's all back assward. It's no different than when they had the BLM people burning down the cities and blowing up squad cars, and then they were letting these people out of jail,
Now,
either
those
bailing
were
them out
peaceful
or
protests, Don.
yeah, peaceful protests when you blow up a
protest.
police car and shoot policemen and all this
As the
other
guy
stuff.
saying that on the news clip, everything's burning behind him. Everything has
Yeah.
mostly been peaceful, like we're idiots, like we don't see
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, the guy must not have put out a cigarette butt and the whole city started on fire. And by accident, that squad car was leaking gas and it accidentally blew up too. Like but then they're bailing these people out or giving them I-bonds. They weren't even putting them in prison, and it was so stupid. Or if they did get to the prosecution, then the state's attorney would just release these people. So there was no when there was actual crimes, these people were basically rewarded. Let's build a statue. You know what I mean? We need statues of who's the guy that was George Floyd. Tear down the statues of people that are actually heroes. Like, it's so back-assward that I don't even know how, we're even talking about that. I guess we're talking about it because it's interesting, but we're talking about just total hypocrisy.
This is the problem where I sit there and I just say, I don't understand this. Getting back to the women and boys sports, don't any of these people have children? Don't any of these people have daughters? You don't see a problem with this? But then when you think about it, like AOC and them, they don't have kids. They're not even married. How are they going to feel when they have a little girl who has an interest in whatever, softball, whatever, and all of a sudden they're really good and they're excelling, and then maybe you get a scholarship, but now a boy comes in and says, oh no, I identify as a female, I'm going to play now, and bumps her out. What is her attitude going to be? Oh, that's okay. We need to be accepting of this? BS. She's going to be hot and ticked off because that's the normal thing to do as a parent.
Or she gets her little girl on a hockey team, and some guy gets in there, twists her helmet off like a bottle cap, knocks all her teeth out. She's got to eat applesauce and mashed potatoes the rest of her life because this is what she endorsed. I mean, the whole thing is so stupid.
I know. And I've been watching the new women's hockey league. It's new, I think, this year. There's 6 teams now. It's supposed to be expanding. It really is a great sport to watch because these women are tough. They're good. They fight and everything. Yeah. But I want to see if a boy's allowed to play in that league. I doubt it.
Put a guy like Cam Neely out there and see what happens.
Probert. Probert's passed, but Ty Domi or someone like that, or McCarty from Detroit. Bring them guys in there. It's just crazy.
It would change from the women's hockey league to the toothless hockey league because nobody'd have teeth.
One hit is going to just say. Well, that's why I was saying. I think if they really want to circumvent this whole men playing women's sports, my idea is, where are some of these men who identify as women? Can they join the WNBA and start playing? Can you imagine the outrage? Can you imagine the outrage that them people will have. I mean, they went up in arms for Caitlin Clark. They said she was a sellout. They didn't want her on the team. And she's probably the best female basketball player around. What little I know about that game, I don't consider it a sport. Sorry. But let's see some of these men say, you know what? I didn't make it in the NBA, but I identify as a woman, so I'm going to go join the WNBA. I'd love to see how that goes over. Would they be okay with that, the Dems?
How do you prove that? You got to bring in like a box of tampons for the tryout or what?
I think you have to.
How do you prove that? Like how you identify as a woman?
Let's start getting some guys who identify as women who couldn't make the NBA, weren't that good in college. Go join the WNBA. Now let's see what they're going to say. Them girls will have a fit. There'll be an outrage like you wouldn't believe. And I wish someone would do that because I'd love to see how the Dems handle that.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Hey, how about did the the guy that went out to El Salvador to get back those
Senator Van Hollen,
MS-13? Yeah.
Here's a guy who I never even heard of this guy. I think most people never even heard of him. Trying to make a name for himself, trying to do something, I don't know. But here you have Rachel Marin from Maryland who gets killed by an illegal alien. And I'm not even going to go into the description of how he killed her. It is disgusting. Awful. I don't even want to repeat it. It's disgusting what he did to her. So yesterday, Trump invites Rachel Marin's mother to the White House because he was convicted of murder. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And it took the jury like 45 minutes to come up with the guilty verdict. On that day yesterday, when the family's getting closure, what does this guy do? From Maryland, he goes to El Salvador, makes a big spectacle because he's going to get that MS-13 member who they say Trump illegally deported and put in that El Salvadorian prison. He's going to get him home, which is a real, it's just terrible what he does. And he says, I'm going to get there. I'm going to request a meeting with him. I want to do this. And, of course, he gets there and he tells them, I'm demanding that you release him into my custody. And the people at the prison, they're like, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. He goes, well, then I want to talk to him. I want to have a phone conversation, a video conversation. Yeah, that's not going to happen either. So he did come out in a press conference, says more Democrats are going to join him in this fight, and he's not going to give it up. But I just think it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it goes along with what I said earlier, okay? These illegal, not only criminals, but gang members that are absolutely animals, okay? These are the people that have the interests of the left, not the American people, not our safety, nothing. The illegal criminal gang members are the people that get the support of the left. How does that make anyone want to vote for the left ever again? Ever?
There's so many people out there that will.
It's so stupid. But you know what it is? What I found with people is people are a product of the news station that they watch.
Yes.
Because when I talk to people and they don't know up from down, right from left, and they're just absolutely clueless, if I walk into their homes, chances are they got CNN cooking on the wall all day long.
Even the local news, nonsense. We grew up, my grandparents had on 257.
Channel 9?
Yeah, Channel 9, WGN. Even the local news is so skewed to the left. It's terrible. Well, you got ABC, NBC. What do you expect? CBS is terrible. Look what they did with the Kamala Harris interview with 60 Minutes. So even people that just come home from work, want to put on the news, catch up what's going on, they hear this propaganda from the left, and you're right. Then that's the law. That's it. They know everything because that's what they heard so-and-so say on the news.
And so let's just say I walk into someone's house and they got CNN. I already know who I'm talking to, okay? Somebody has zero common sense, okay? I walk into you can call me an asshole. I don't really care.
No, I
won't.
I'll
walk in.
I won't.
You can. I'm good with it. Or you walk into someone's house and they got Fox or they got Newsmax going on. You know this person has some common sense. They have some logic. I'm not saying anyone's absolutely correct in any direction, but what I am saying is if you agree with what they're telling you on CNN, you probably don't know that that's up. You probably don't know. Okay,
Right.
and then you're going to argue. No, you don't know what you're talking about. This is up. This is up. You have no idea what you're
They
talking about.
can't argue.
They'll argue with you.
Yeah,
Okay,
they have
But
no,
then
no case.
So you kind of know who your audience is, and I just realized this. I don't know, maybe like a couple months ago, is really all we are. People are people, and all we are is most people are just a product of their environment, and and they're a product of the news station that they listen to.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you agree with that or you disagree with it, but I found that it's really that simple.
I agree with it, and that's why I think on one of the other shows I said, I'm not here, and I don't think you are either, to tell anybody who listens or watches our shows, this great podcast that it is, and I recommend it to everyone, we're not telling you how to think. I'm not sitting here telling you everybody who listens to us needs to be a Trump fan. Everybody needs to watch Newsmax or Fox News. No. All we're doing is bringing something up, telling you the other side. I challenge everybody who listens to us to do some research and see. Because like we said, it's common sense. I'm not here to tell you how to think or who to like and who to hate. Just hear us out and go do your own research. Now, if you come back saying that you want MS-13 or the Tren de Aragua gang living in your neighborhood, okay, that's fine. As long as you know what you're getting into, if you're all right with it. I will never understand it, but that's fine. You want women to play in men's sports? You looked at all of it from every angle and you still are okay with it? God bless. Then go ahead and do it. You know, and if you have kids, if you have young kids that play sports, especially a girl, and you're okay with this, I think something's wrong with you, but that's okay. You could have that opinion.
If you're okay giving up government funding so you can keep a man in a woman's sport, then that's your prerogative,
Great
right?
point,
But
great
don't
point.
go crying. Don't go crying and say, "Oh, you're not giving me the money." Well, it was already very clear from the beginning.
Yeah,
if you're not going to follow governmental law,
yeah,
right? Because they say state and governmental law is what the chick from Maine said. Then go ahead. You can keep the guy playing in women's sports, and then when you don't get the funding and you're going to blame other people,
pay.
I'm going to blame you for what I did, right? One finger point at you and three right back at me.
Yep.
I mean, it's so fucking obvious.
Just pay. Be expected to pay. And one more thing, side note, I forgot about. Speaking of the citizens and the people of states paying, when that senator went to El Salvador, that whole trip, funded by the taxpayers of Maryland. So they're paying.
But that's one of my biggest points is, so they're doing all of this stuff that's like I said, Jerry's kids type of stuff, but they're using our money to bankroll it, okay?
Yeah.
They're using our money to send this knucklehead idiot to El Salvador. I think we should have just said, we're canceling the round trip ticket. It's a one-way ticket, and I think he needs to stay, at least a weekend in your accommodation over there at the prison.
Yeah.
Because what's this guy even doing over there? You know what I mean? You're supposed to be here for the American people. You know what I mean?
America's not first with them, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah,
you know what they should
America-
do? Trump should start sending these gang members to North Korea. Send them there. Then I want to see the senators jumping on a plane, going there and demanding to Kim Jong-un that they release them. Let me know how that works out for you.
Oh, they'll feed them to their dogs or something.
Let me know how that works out for you.
That's a great idea.
Isn't
We
it?
should send
them
we
to a
send
prison, and you know what? We have so many sanctions on North Korea. Send them a little money. Say, all right, we're going to ease up on some sanctions or whatever, but you got to take our criminals. He'd be like, no problem. Because I heard the other day that, and this is a side note, that North Korea, instead of executing you, which they do a lot, they'd rather put you in these concentration labor camps because
they do some work.
They get more out of you. So let's send all these gang members that are here illegally. Why don't we send them over there? Let them work. Let them see. I mean, I know this prison in El Salvador is no treat, but I guarantee you there ain't going to be no senator flying on the Korean Air going there demanding from the government that he needs to be released.
I'd be all about putting them in first class. You know what I mean? If they're going to North Korea, first class, we gotta make sure. Maybe even a private plane. We could drop them off right at the mansion of.
Let's see how life is there for you, Senator.
Oh yeah, and then we don't have to worry about them coming back.
Oh, they ain't going to come.
You know what I
back.
mean?
There's no way. There'll be primaries.
Food for the horses, or they'll be making roads or something.
Well, this show went by
awesome.
pretty quick. We're just about at the end here, wrapping up. One last thing I did want to say is I watched a video of Katy Perry and Jeff Bezos' fiance, whatever, going up into space for 11 minutes. Then came back and kissed the ground. If you get a chance to check out some of that clip and see how ridiculous they look and how stupid they look. And Gayle King on CBS News is starting to refer to herself as an astronaut. Okay, great. And I seen some facts that like roller coasters and the Star Wars ride at Disney is 18. They're longer than what they were up in space. So if people get a chance, check that out. I know we're up against the clock here. So just want to remind everybody to visit our website, which is straightupdonhanstonshow.com. Got a lot of great stuff there and links to the show. Also, if you disagree with something that I said or what Don said, we want to know. straightupdonhanston@gmail.com. Let us know. We're starting to get a lot of email in. And definitely check us out if you get a chance on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Rumble, iHeartRadio. Check us out there. 30-minute episodes probably fits perfect into your schedule. And the next show, me and Don are going to be diving deep into college. And do you really need college? We're going to be talking about that. So make sure you join us next time. Thanks for joining us on Straight Up, the Don Hanston Show.
Have a great day, guys.